Okay, yes, I read mathematics at Clare. I got a natural science exhibition, but my maths teacher had advised me I wouldn't stand a hope in hell of passing the maths scholarship. So to go in with what I could do and then change when I got there, which caused a bit of consternation. Um, no, I still enjoy maths, unlike some people. I still enjoy the subject that I started out with, although my chosen career was in computer programming, which I enjoyed. First of all, for British Rail, when it existed, and I felt I was doing something socially useful because I believe in public transport. But then promotion prospects seemed limited. There was another pay freeze, so I moved into private industry, what was Plessy, which went through several reincarnations, takeovers. As one of the posters that someone put up said, if you worked at the same job, at the same desk, doing the same thing for 20 years and worked for 20 different companies, you're in telecommunications. And so it ended up as part of the GEC empire and then part of Siemens. I moved in, I was a junior manager for a while, felt that every project I worked on crashed, got cut by marketing, so made a move into marketing, got declared redundant. Having got an individual contribution award in the summer for my efforts, I was then made redundant about 6 months later. And thankfully a colleague found me a job in his department, a somewhat more lowly job in sales support, but I kept the salary and moved back into marketing gradually. In 2003, I was already working silly unpaid overtime because I had management grade, and yet more redundancies. People who know me know that I got married while I was at Clare. I didn't even wait till I'd graduated. And by then I'd been married about 30 years and decided enough was enough. I took myself to Relate to try and sort out what was going on with the relationship. And after about the third session, came to the conclusion with their help that divorce was the best solution to the relationship. So I went through what I call my change of life at the age of 52. Left my wife, family, house, job, company car, company mobile phone. Lived in my son's spare room for a couple of months till I found a flat to live. Took a very generous redundancy package from Siemens, which I'd managed to hang on to. Most people had lost the original Plessy terms, but I'd never signed a contract to get rid of them. And always fancied doing a bit of teaching in my retirement. Adult education, evening classes, the sort of things I've been going to. So I went on teacher training and I got a small pension from Siemens. Well, no, reduced pension. It was sort of breadline stuff. And I got extra money doing cleaning and catering jobs. So Nottingham University at one stage had a Cambridge MA as one of their cleaners and one of their canteen staff. Not very well paid, but it topped things up, and did the teacher training. Found out that the 1 term course I'd signed up for was no longer sufficient to get you a job, and you need to do a 2-year part-time PGCE to get a job in FE. It was a bit like getting an equity card. You had to have a class to teach to get your experience, but you had to have the qualification to get the class to teach. Fortunately, someone advised me to get in through learning support, supporting people with learning difficulties and disabilities. And that's where my first teaching work was for quite a number of years. Got permanent jobs teaching such people. It was an eye-opener to find out that what you assumed was obvious was not. It taught me a lot, that teaching people who struggle to understand and may be very flexible. At one stage I was working for both colleges. I managed to have 2 half-time contracts with one college, plus a day a week with another college, doing learning support and doing the marking and preparation at home. So I was doing 6 days work in 5, which was good. The further education is going through paroxysms at the anyway, and as I put it, I made my career in voluntary redundancy. So I took voluntary redundancy from one college. The great thing was that I then upped my work with the other college from 1 day a week to 3 days a week. And when I took voluntary redundancy from there, my redundancy pay was calculated on the basis of my long service with the college, multiplied by the 3 days a week, not the 1 day a week I'd been doing most of the work for. By then, the employment was getting in the way of the private tuition. I've been asked by 1 or 2 friends to teach their children, and they'd recommended me to others. This is now my online classroom with a whiteboard behind me down in the cellar, and I'm probably working, well, I'm certainly busting the EU working time directive. I work 7 days a week, most hours a day, either teaching or preparing or marking or planning or preparing resources. Maths, English, plus people doing GCSEs, you usually find you can help them just by reading what's in front of them and explaining it to them. How do you know that, Richard? They say. Because I'm old, I say. And a lot of it is this, that, you know, we forget as adults how much we know that youngsters don't know. So I'm finding that fascinating. I'm teaching anything from, at the moment, I've got a 6-year-old girl who's struggling with number and reading and writing. I've got A-level students. I've got university students I'm supporting with their assignments. I've helped get 4 nurses into the NHS. So that's my contribution by helping with their assignments. And really enjoying it. One of the most enjoyable was actually an A-level student. He was at Eton, and his father was paying for him to get extra tuition in the half-term holiday. And so he was preparing for his final A-level exam, and the tuition consisted of me turning up and him presenting me with the questions he found difficult and asking me to try to show him how to do them without any preparation. So I always went there with a sort of nervousness as to whether I'd be able to tackle them. So yes, that's my career. Advice for well, first of all, for undergraduates, around about Easter of my 2nd year, I started feeling really low. What am I doing here? It seemed like a good idea at the time. Oh my God. Having spoken to someone at another university who supports PhD students, I mentioned it to her, and she said quite recently, she said, oh yeah, the Slough of Despond. It seems to be a recognised, so for undergraduates, warn them they're going to go through the Slough of Despond. Sometime in their 2nd year, it seems to be the time to do it. It happened with my PGCE. It's only a 2-year course, but just after Christmas in the 2nd year, again, the same sort of feeling. I had one of my ESOL students, went to Open University. He texted me in despair. I told him this, and he said, thanks, Richard, you put me straight, and he went on and finished. So that's for undergraduates. For graduate, I'd say the advice is don't fall in love. That would be my first piece of advice. I think that was the first thing I did wrong. The second thing is be opportunistic. Don't be fixed in what you think you're going to be doing. Don't be proud about what work you do. I tell some of my students, it was through doing the cleaning and catering work, I got jobs and admin, student services in the college, got my face known, and the teachers there helped me get the work I needed and get the classwork I needed in order to become qualified and work in there. And it was only through doing those sort of jobs. And I'd see people who say, I had one friend, my degree's in sound engineering, I'm not doing anything else, and this sort of thing. You've got to be flexible, as other people have said. In my day, you went for a full-time career. My advice to people these days, get a portfolio of part-time jobs if you can, because if one turns pear-shaped, you can drop it. If you've got a full-time job, you need to find something else to go to. If you've got a collection of part-time jobs, you can afford to drop one and pick up on some of the others while you find something else. Another thing is, don't feel any loyalty to your employer. They won't be loyal to you. I felt we had a particularly bad principal at NCN, and I realised then I felt loyalty to the college, to the students and my colleagues, but not to him. I, as I say, was made redundant in Siemens after putting in a lot of effort. When it comes to the crunch, the employer is going to get rid of you. You've got to look out for number one.
Thank you.
And I think that's probably my advice for people. You know, be flexible, opportunistic, and mix and match.
Thank you very much. I'll come back to Plessy later. I was
Oh, can I just add one other thing? One of my mistakes was to assume that I needed promotion. Don't feel you've got to climb up the greasy pole. Do something you enjoy that's profitable with people you enjoy working with.
Sure, sure. Well, look, thank you very much, Richard. And